open my agency, my grandmother walks in the door and says, I want you to do a business expo. I said, what do you mean? I want you to do a Black Business Expo. She coined it. I tell people all the time, the Black Business Expo was not created by me. The Black Business Expo fell on me. My grandmother walks in and she says, this is what she wants to do. Mind you, earlier I told you she was a negotiator for the AFL-CIO, and where she worked there, she also was a negotiator for getting people raises and getting other folk to feel all right by giving them the raise. That's what she did, okay? So I took the idea and I said, okay, I didn't think it was a real idea. It was coming from my grandmother. I'm a young person. I think I know everything, okay? So I take the project that she gave me to the Black data processing group that I was publicity, the fundraiser for, okay? And I said, this is a good idea and everything. And everybody was all aboard except for the president. After 2 months, he walks into our meeting and says, you know what? I don't think we're going to do the Black Business Expo. Mind you, I had already for 2 months been selling it to businesses, to companies and corporations. I had set up a bank account. I had already raised $7,000. All I needed from him was $600 to pay for the ballrooms that we was going to have it in. And because of my integrity, I was going to turn all the money over to them because I brought it to you. Because that's how I was raised. I wasn't raised to say, oh, okay, you don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. Okay, so when he said that, I was so infuriated and so mad, I wanted to cuss everybody out. I've done all this work. But my great-grandfather said, don't say nothing. So I sat there and I took it. I got up. I act like he ain't say nothing. I went to my office. I sat in my office, and in walks my little brother. My little brother said, what's going on, man? I said, I started telling him about the show and everything. And then he said, wait a minute. He said, hold on. He said, how much money have you raised? I said, I done raised $7,000. You know how you sounding like, what I'm gonna do? Because you don't know what you're gonna do. And so he said, okay, so you raised $7,000. He said, well, how much is it gonna cost for the venue, for the hotel? I said, $600, $200 a ballroom. We're gonna get, I had planned on getting 3. He said, well, we're gonna do the expo then. I said, what? He said, we're gonna do the expo. I said, what? He said, look, man, don't worry about them. We're gonna do the expo. You got the money, you already made a profit. And I said, man, you're right. I'm looking at my little brother. That's my little brother now. And if you know my little brother, comes from the same cloth, but he's Mr. Devious. He's got the devious. I don't have the devious. He had the devious. And so I changed all the information and we did the first expo. We had 93 tabletop people to come in, and nobody had ever done anything like this. We probably had about 1,000 people to come.
What year was this?
This was 1996. Okay. 1996. Because the first show I did was in 95 with a guy, and it was called the Special Pages. So I kind of knew how to do it because I worked with him. And so my grandmother comes in. This is the thing I want young people and other people to understand. Sometimes you think you know a lot, but have your grandparents to come in and tell you what to do. Have them to look at what you're doing and ask you questions. She walked in and she said, nice little show. Remember, this is my first show ever.
Correct.
My heart and everything is 10 feet tall. She comes in and said, nice little show. And then she said, you didn't do your research.
Okay.
Now, I am this big now, okay? I held it together all day around people, but in the back of my mind was what? Nice little show. So the next year, I started doing research. I didn't have piping drapes. I didn't know what piping drapes was, okay? The next year, I do piping drapes, okay? She comes in again and she says, now, we're going to continue to do this show, but we're not going to do this show if you don't take out the time to do real research. Yeah, it's good that you have these piping drapes and you got the tables. And she says, you probably been worried about the profit. and my mind didn't want to say, yes, I have, but my mind had. I was thinking small. Okay. That's what the problem was. I was thinking small. And so she said, now I want you to come out of the house today and we're going to have a sit down. And when she said, we're going to have a sit down.
You're going to sit down.
We're going to sit down. So we sat down and she said, look, have you read any magazines? Have you read any newspaper? Have you studied what you're doing? I said, no, ma'am. I said, I just been trying to make sure that everything is paid for. She said, look, Papa always told us, don't never put money first. Put the vision first and the money will come. She said, you got to build it with a vision of what it is. Right now, you don't know what the vision is.
Very true.
You keep thinking that you know, but you don't know. She said, I need you to spend some time studying. And so I started to go into trade shows. I had never went to a trade show. I was doing it, never went. So I started going to trade shows. I started listening and finding out what trade shows that people was doing, Chamber of Commerce's, other trade shows. I started going out of town and I started seeing a difference. And then I went to a trade show that was packed. And I walked in the trade show and I think it was either Zig Ziglar or some other big time speaker, and it was packed. And I was standing there and I was looking, and then it hit me in the head. You don't have no cheese for the mice. You don't have no salt for the horse so that the horse would drink the water. That's what my great grandfather used to say. You know, he said, you can lead a horse. People always talking, he would be cussing when he said this. He said, people are always trying to leave a blah, blah, blah horse to blah, blah, blah water, but they don't understand. If you put salt in his mouth, he's going to surely drink. You got to be the salt. He said, the mice will always go in the trap because of the cheese. And so I saw it, and I could hear him talking in my head at the same time. And so I said, well, what I have to do is get some keynote speakers. Okay. Remember I told you I was thinking small.
Right.
Now I'm thinking big. I'm watching television. I'm watching a guy by the name of Tony Brown's Journal. At that time, Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal was the equivalent of the whole BET network. He was that big. He was that big. And so the stuff is going across the credits are going across the screen, right? Guess what I see in the credits? The telephone number. Get on the phone, call the show, and guess who picks up the phone? Tony Brown. I can't make this stuff up. Tony Brown picks it up, and I say, hello, how you doing? I'm calling for Tony Brown Jr. I want to speak to Tony Brown. He said, hi, I'm Tony Brown. I said, how much do you charge to come and speak? And he said, I charge $4,000. And I clicked on it.
No.
Yes. Okay. You got to hear the whole story to understand what's going on in my mind.
Yeah.
I come from a background of sales. I come from a background of high integrity. I come from a background of understanding what you want and understanding if I give you what you want, you're going to give me what I want. Okay. So he said $4,000. I clicked because I understood at that moment, the only way he was coming, I needed what? $4,000. It's not going to be about what I can say on the phone to him to convince him, because I won't raised like that. I was raised, tell me what you need, tell me what we're doing. Okay, let's make it happen. So mind you, I didn't know the power of television and the name recognition. So I started telling companies and people I was bringing Tony Brown, I needed blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I had $4,000 before I even knew it. And then I was looking at Black Enterprise Magazine, and on the front cover of Black Enterprise Magazine was George Fraser. And of course, the script is the same script. I get his information, I call him up, I ask him how much he's gonna charge. He's gonna charge me $3,000. I said, thank you, I clicked. A friend of mine was working with another guy who was phenomenal at the time, and that was Claude Anderson. Okay. Now, Ken, I asked Ken what it's going to take to get Claude. He tells me, so I got all these numbers, And mind you, if I know how people think, I'm thinking about what is the experience going to be like, right? So I talked to the hotel, get them suites. I talked to our airlines, get them free tickets to fly here because these kind of folk, the airlines, they want to do something with the Black community. Here's your shot. One of my best friends had a limo service. So, hey, I said, look, man, we can do some video in your limo. Remember, I ran an advertising agency in marketing and branding. So,
Right.
I'm doing all of this, right? And so I get these guys to come. And I did not even know what the newspaper was going to do. I didn't know what the radio stations were going to do. I didn't know what all of the stuff that happened that whole year. I didn't understand none of those things. This is why I try to tell kids, everybody wants to be the first. We got to stop saying we want to be the first and find out what the first was. And that's what I found out what the first was. And boom, when I did my show, I had over 7,000 people. I had 300 booths. And we went from the front of the hotel all the way to the back of the hotel.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.fivestarbdm.com today to learn more.